Welcome back to the grind for another Act 7.2 guide. This is Quest 5 with the That's Gonna Sting lane. So you need to apply a Power Sting, or you need to do a buff synthesis where you have a weakness on the opponent and then stun. So you can see there's no weakness applied by Immortal Abomination here because he has to have a poison on him. So now he does. The next time we parry, a weakness is applied. And then the next time we would inflict a stun, it converts it into a Power Sting. Now the thing to keep note of is those buffs are not always going to trigger, or only one or the other might trigger, because you also get disorients every time you take blocked hits. So this can be very challenging. You can get rid of those disorients by dashing back and holding block for a little while. So if you end up getting a bunch of them, that might be something that you would want to do, or have a champion that can deal with the disorients, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Immortal Abomination is a good option for this because the damage over time effects actually are not affected by the node. So the poisons will keep on ticking down the damage, and that can be a helpful way to keep the fight moving. And then ideally, you want to time your acid burn and special attacks to occur at the same time while the opponent has a Power Sting active. And another thing to keep note of, which is going to be more important versus some champions, is they have increased power gain up to 2 bars of power. So you're going to be baiting out a lot of special attacks if you would bait out the special ones, which also means it's going to convert or take the Power Stings away. It'll give you some extra damage, but then you'll have to reapply a Power Sting. Otherwise, the Power Stings are permanent. So in some situations, like against Scarlet Witch, you'll see I try to prevent her from throwing special attacks, so I can just keep on beating into her while she has over 2 bars of power, because she really isn't going to gain much power very fast at all. We go in with this acid burn active, and we deal as much damage as possible during that phase. And then we have to reapply a Power Sting now, and we have a disorient active, so we might not have guaranteed abilities, but sometimes if you're good at reparrying, you can inflict multiple Power Stings with one kind of combo of her attacking into you. So you can parry. If it fails, you can reparry, and sometimes you'll get multiple Power Stings from each parry that you land as they're attacking into you. Now we get another one of those acid burns with the Power Sting active. We throw off a special attack to get as much of those as possible, and then we have to do a little bit extra to finish off the fight because we do not have a Power Sting active at this time, so it's taking some extra hits. Now we got a couple Power Stings from reparrying and finish off the fight. The next fight is versus the champion. Now, this was my first actual lane that I brought in Archangel after awakening him, and we're going to see that I'm not necessarily a pro with him yet, unfortunately. So we do okay for most of the fight, and then the champion starts triggering lots of unstoppables eventually, and we end up dying with like a couple percent left. But Archangel is a fantastic option for those who are who are not immune to bleed or poison on this lane, the champion being one of them, because the damage over time and neurotoxin effects are not limited by the node, so you can still get the full damage out of them. And we're going to see some of the times I messed up is because he goes unstoppable when I'm not expecting it, because you can see my signature ability says that I get 33.4% ability accuracy reduction when I have a neurotoxin on. So with 3 of them, it'll be 100%. But we are still seeing the champion get his unstoppable buff, as you see right here with 3 neurotoxins active. So I may be missing something about the champion's abilities, that it cannot be reduced or the unstoppable can't be reduced. I'm not sure. I think we are preventing the Furies from activating at some time, but that's not really that important to me. It's the unstoppable that I wanted to bypass. So this might be showing, I don't know everything about every champion. And so let me know, maybe you can teach me if the champion has something in particular, or maybe it's a glitch. I'm not sure what it is because I don't even have any disorients on me. So let me know if you have anything to add, but Archangel is a fantastic option for the majority of this lane, except for maybe one champion that is immune to bleed and poison. And so obviously you can't use Archangel for that one. And so this fight is actually going fairly well. I just skipped ahead a bit. We're almost done. And you can see how could you mess up on this fight. I dashed in when he turned unstoppable right after I dashed. And then I froze right here. He has 1% left. And I ended up dying to a blocked hit. And so I just went in and finished that off quickly with another champion. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, this was one of my least favorite lanes in all of Act 7.2 because I struggled with it a lot. I don't have any really good Power Sting champions, and so I had to rely on the nodes, but because of the disorients, it was a bit challenging until I decided to try Human Torch. And this run, I had kind of just decided I was just going to go in with this set of champions, and whatever happens, happens, and I'll push through it unless it is completely awful. And Human Torch was actually a major player for me in this one because there are several Mystic champions, and because because one of the most annoying fights is, well, it's not really that bad, but vision, because he's immune to bleeds and poison, so the damage over time, you can't get around it. You have to have a power sting active to be able to deal damage. And so I just used Human Torch and applied the pre-fight to use the Nova Flames to get damage off through and not really worry about getting the power stings at all. So Human Torch worked really well for this fight as well. It does take a little bit of time to get ramped up, but with the smolders getting higher, the damage from the incinerate starts to get better and better. And then I would occasionally throw off a special 3 to get some Nova Flame damage as well. And then when he throws special attacks, you get a little bit of extra damage on him from doing that as well. So Human Torch was actually the major player for me on this lane. I think he did 4 fights for me, and I did take a bit of damage here on blocked hit because I had, what is that, 5 disorients on me. So you might want to be a little bit more careful than that and try to get rid of some of them. But the other nice thing is if the hood does go invisible, you can still attack him as long as you have 15 or more heat charges. And so I was able to bypass it a few times, and then I went below 15, so I backed off and played it safe. But you can see the incinerate damage is getting up there quite significantly now, and it's going to get much easier to push him over 7 and then get 20 heat charges, and then I can go into Flame On again for some more Nova Flame damage. And then this last 25% goes by very quickly because we do have the Flame On active. We go in for another combo, get some Nova Flames on him, and then he goes to activate a special and kills himself. The next few fights I might try to speed along, but this fight is where I use the pre-fight ability from Human Torch to make this fight speed up a little bit more because he was one of my more annoying ones, simply because he is immune to the other debuffs that I would like to place. Also, you can block his special 1 to get smolder charges, which will help speed the fight along as well. And when you can build up a bunch of those power sting effects, then he'll when he throws off his special attacks, you can take a lot of damage from it. So here we had 4, and it did about 10% of his health just from him activating a special. You do have to be careful because he can gain power. So if he gains power and is over 2 bars of power, you can attack into him as much as you want, but if you don't bait out a special in time, he'll gain more power again, and then he'll have a 3rd bar of power. So you want to try to avoid that. But overall, with Human Torch, this fight was very easy, especially with the pre-fight ability activated. Now this next fight is against Diablo, another Mystic champion, which means Human Torch once again works fantastic. And once you build up some smolder charges from parrying and stuff, you can get into the Flame On state quite easily. And as you can see here, we now have it active. We're putting on some of those Nova Flames again, and unfortunately we don't get to bait out a special attack while the power stings are active and then the effect ends, but we did get some good damage from it. And I usually like to save up to my special 3 so that I can get even more Nova Flames on him during that time and not have to worry about building up the incinerates to get to it. And now we have 6 of the power stings active. He throws a special attack and it did 20% of his health, 77,000 damage. So very fun when you can make that work. And then the fight ended quite easily. What's nice about Diablo is that his special 2 is easy to evade. So if you push him over 2 bars of power, you can just keep hitting into him and not worry about it because he gains power much slower. Now, Captain America Infinity War is another great option. Ideally max Sig, ideally with a skill champion, because you can see the disorient that was applied was purified. Plus, we applied a weakness because I had other science champions on the team when I parried him, and it immediately was turned into a power sting effect. And so you can see here, I'm also dashing back and holding block to remove the disorient, and then I ended up taking some hits. But if you have him max Sig, and if you have a science and a skill champion on the team, every single time you parry, you're going to apply a power sting, and you are going to purify a disorient. As long as you have a kinetic charge active, you can purify the disorient. So Captain America Infinity War is another great option for this lane. Mine is not max Sig, but as you can see, he's actually working quite well. It was a little bit longer of a fight, and sometimes because you can't guarantee a power sting, it can take a little while to get one active, and you want to try to time your special attacks for when you have a power sting active on the opponent. I think here I throw off my special 2 without a power sting, and it only did 10,000 damage. So then this one I throw off, and it did 32,000 damage without a crit. So you can see a massive difference when you have the power sting active. And then we're going to skip through most of this stuff. I think we're throwing off another special 2 here with just a few, just one actually kinetic charge, and it still did 56,000 damage with that crit. So Captain America also has really good block proficiency, so if you do fail some parries because of disorient, you don't have to worry about losing too much health. So I do hope this video is helpful. Good luck, and I hope to see you in the next video.